You do this all the time. Human reproduction horrified the alien girl's Sci-Fi, HFY story. The station drifted in silence, a wide ring of metal and glass hanging above a blue star. Inside, many species worked together, each moving in their own careful way. Some floated, some walked, some used soft mechanical limbs. Humans walked the fastest. Noah moved through the central corridor with a small data pad in his hand. He was not tall compared to some species, and not strong compared to others, but he walked with purpose. He had learned that on stations like this, confidence mattered more than size. The lights above shifted colors as different sections powered up for the cycle. This station was built for study, not comfort. It existed to answer questions. Most questions were about stars, energy, and trade. Lately, the questions were about humans. Noah reached the shared research hall. Several beings were already there, gathered around a wide table that glowed with soft symbols. At one side stood Lyra. She was tall and thin, her skin pale with faint blue lines that moved slowly when she thought. Her eyes were large and dark, always watching, always measuring. Lyra was a xenobiologist. She studied life across the galaxy. Humans were her newest subject. She noticed Noah and gave a short nod. It was polite but careful. The meeting began as usual. Reports were shared. Numbers changed on the table. A calm voice from the station system confirmed data transfers. Everything followed order. Then Lyra raised one hand. "I have completed my initial study of human population cycles," she said. Several heads turned. Noah felt a tight feeling in his chest, though his face stayed calm. Lyra tapped the table. Images appeared, human cities, rural lands, families gathered in small spaces. Records moved fast, showing births over time. "These numbers are correct?" Lyra asked. Noah nodded. "Yes. They come from Earth records and colony data." Lyra stared at the display. The blue lines on her skin brightened. "You increase your population through direct biological pairing, often, without long recovery cycles." "Yes," Noah said. "That is how we have always done it." A murmur moved through the room. One being folded its limbs close. Another shifted color in clear discomfort. Lyra looked back at Noah. Her voice lowered, but everyone heard. "You do this all the time." The room went quiet. Noah felt every eye on him. Humans were used to being watched, but this was different. This was judgment. "We reproduce naturally," he said. "It is normal for us." Lyra stepped closer to the table. "For many species here, reproduction is rare, planned, controlled. Some of us require perfect conditions. Some can only do it once." She changed the display. Charts appeared showing other species, flat lines, small increases over long spans. "Compared to us," she continued, "humans multiply rapidly. You form bonds. You create new life even in unstable environments." Noah took a slow breath. "Our world has always been unstable." Lyra studied him. "That does not explain the emotional factor." Another image appeared. A human family, 2 adults, several children. The data showed resource strain, risk, loss. "You accept pain," Lyra said. "Loss. You continue anyway." Noah did not answer right away. He knew that any wrong word could shape the future. "It is part of being human," he said finally. The station system interrupted with a neutral tone. "Cultural exchange time window nearing limit." Lyra did not acknowledge it. She looked at the council members around the table. "This requires deeper review," she said. "I request access to restricted human social archives." There was hesitation. Then approval lights blinked one by one. Noah felt uneasy, but he said nothing. The meeting ended soon after. The others left in small groups, speaking in low sounds or silent signals. Noah remained, watching Lyra as she gathered her data. "You seem disturbed," he said. Lyra paused. "I am unsettled," she replied. "There is a difference." She turned to him. "Your species treats reproduction as routine, casual, yet the cost is high." Noah gave a small smile. "We do not see our children as a cost." Lyra did not smile back. Later, in her private lab, Lyra stood alone. The room was dark except for the floating screens around her. She had full access now. Records streamed past her eyes. Wars, famines, plagues, human populations fell then rose again. Always she slowed the data, focused on family records, stories attached to numbers, names, losses, a mother raising children alone after disaster. A group of humans adopting children that were not their own, humans continuing life in ruined places. Lyra felt something tighten inside her chest. It was not fear, not yet. She opened a file marked Human Family Units. The system hesitated, then allowed access. What she saw made her step back. Not images, not charts, behavior models. Human reproduction was linked to bonding, protection, and risk-taking behavior. The system predicted that humans would defend offspring at extreme cost, even against impossible odds. Lyra whispered, "You build weakness into your survival." The system answered, "Correction. Humans convert weakness into resilience." She stared at the words. Another alert appeared, a council note. Subject under review, human reproductive instability. Lyra realized then that this was not simple study. This was evaluation. Elsewhere, Noah stood by a wide window looking out at the blue star. He had sent reports before. He had defended humans in trade talks and military talks. This felt different. He felt exposed. A soft step approached. A broad figure stopped beside him. It was Irene, a station security officer. His species had hard skin and steady eyes. "They are nervous," Irene said quietly. Noah did not look away from the star. "About what?" "You," Irene replied. "About what you bring with you." Noah clenched his hand. "We bring cooperation." Irene nodded. "You also bring growth. That frightens some." Noah turned. "What are they saying?" Irene hesitated. "Some believe humans spread without limit, that you cannot stop yourselves." Noah felt a slow anger rise, but he kept his voice steady. "We stop all the time. We choose. We care." Irene studied him. "Convince them." Back in her lab, Lyra closed the files. Her mind raced. Humans were not reckless. They were intentional in a way she had never seen. They chose life even when logic argued against it. She thought of her own species. Slow to change, careful, stable, and fragile. A private message appeared on her screen. Council review scheduled. Recommendation required. Lyra sat still for a long time. Her earlier question echoed in her mind, no longer sharp but heavy. "You do this all the time." She did not yet know whether the answer frightened her or impressed her. Outside, the station continued its silent orbit, unaware that the future place of humanity among the stars was already beginning to shift. Noah woke to the soft hum of the station. The corridors were quieter now, but the halls always carried whispers of the past and shadows of the species that called this place home. He stretched and made his way to the lab where Lyra had been studying human records. Something about her last words had stayed with him. She had not accused, not yet, but her gaze carried unease. Lyra was already there when he arrived. She moved slowly, organizing floating screens with careful precision. Her eyes were still wide with questions, but now there was curiosity mixed with caution. She turned when Noah approached. "I do not understand," she said simply. "Humans form bonds with so many risks. Why do you accept it?" Noah leaned on a console. "Because that is how we survive. Bonds make us stronger even when they make us vulnerable." Lyra shook her head. "It seems inefficient, dangerous, illogical." "Maybe," Noah admitted, "but it works." The conversation paused as a new presence entered. Irene, the security officer, stood tall, observing. His skin reflected the soft lights above in muted shades. "You should be careful," he said. "Some delegates are not just curious, they are worried." Noah frowned. "Worried about what?" Irene's eyes were steady. "About humans. Your reproduction, your families. They do not understand why you take risks that seem avoidable. To them, it is instability." Noah nodded slowly. He had faced fear and prejudice before, but never this close to the edge of a decision that could affect his whole species. Lyra moved closer to him. I have been reviewing the human social structures. The data shows resilience, yes, but also loss. Much loss. You willingly face pain to continue life. I am confused. Noah smiled faintly. Because life is worth the risk. Love, family, growth. We accept challenges because stopping is not an option. She paused and looked away, focusing on the screens. The data displayed family units, cities rebuilding after disasters, and populations recovering from calamities that would have destroyed most other species. Lyra's large eyes followed each line and symbol. Slowly, she began to see something she had not expected, intention in what she had thought was recklessness. Then the alarm sounded softly. It was a station alert, signaling an incoming request for council review. Noah knew this meant their discussion would soon be scrutinized by multiple species. He also knew that humans would not be given the benefit of doubt if fear dominated the council's judgment. Lyra, he said, the council will want a full explanation. You have the data. You see what I see. What will you tell them? She looked at him. Her gaze lingered on his steady expression. I will tell them the truth, but truth can be dangerous. Irene stepped closer. Sometimes survival depends on how truth is presented. You need allies. Noah nodded. Then we start by showing them the strength behind our choices, not the chaos they think it is. Hours passed as they worked together, Lyra sorting through histories, Noah offering insights. She began to understand that humans were not reckless. They were resilient, strategic in ways that transcended logic. They embraced unpredictability but with purpose. Every bond, every choice to nurture life was an act of defiance against loss. A soft knock came at the lab door. It was a council assistant, bringing notice that the meeting for review would begin soon. Lyra paused, closing a file gently. Noah watched her. She seemed smaller now, more uncertain than she had at the start of the day. Perhaps it was the weight of understanding what humans truly were. As they left the lab together, the corridors seemed longer, shadows deeper. Noah felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. Lyra walked beside him, silent but thoughtful. She had begun to see humans not just as subjects, but as a force she had never imagined. At the entrance to the council chamber, they paused. The doors glimmered with soft light, and beyond them, species of all shapes and sizes waited, some curious, some tense, some openly skeptical. Noah took a deep breath and straightened his posture. Lyra adjusted the floating devices around her shoulders, preparing to present what she now understood. You are ready, Noah said quietly. She nodded, but her large eyes betrayed a flicker of fear. I do not know if they are ready for what they will see, Noah smiled faintly. Then we show them anyway. Humans always rise to the challenge. The doors opened. Beyond them, the council chamber was vast. Delegates floated, walked, and shifted, each one observing. Murmurs traveled like gentle waves across the chamber. Noah and Lyra stepped forward, prepared to face scrutiny, doubt, and perhaps the first judgment humanity had ever received in interstellar council. Lyra began her presentation with numbers, then images, then stories. She described humans who survived disasters, who raised children despite loss, who built communities from ruins. She showed that human reproduction was not just biology, but an engine of resilience, a way life persevered even against impossible odds. The room was silent. Some faces changed color. Some leaned forward, curious. Some still watched with caution. When she finished, she turned to Noah. He gave a small nod. She had presented truth, not exaggeration, and in doing so, she had begun to bridge the gap between fear and understanding. As they left the chamber, Lyra whispered, more to herself than anyone else, I see now. Humans are different, yes, but I did not expect this strength. Noah smiled, quietly proud. The path ahead was still uncertain. The council would vote. Opinions would clash. But one thing was clear. Lyra's mind had changed. And if one mind could change, perhaps others could too. They walked down the corridor toward the observation deck. Outside, the station floated in the calm orbit, small against the vast universe. Noah looked at the stars, thinking of Earth, of the children, of all the humans who would never know this moment. Yet he knew that everything depended on the understanding beginning here, in a room of alien eyes, with one human beside a cautious alien who had begun to see the truth. The station hummed softly, a heartbeat in the darkness. And for the first time, Lyra felt the stirrings of something new, awe, respect, and a question that would not leave her mind. Noah turned toward her. "You see why we do it?" She looked at him, her large eyes reflecting the blue star outside. "Yes," she said quietly. "And I am not sure I am ready to stop seeing it." Somewhere deep inside, both knew this was just the beginning. What they had shown each other today was more than data. It was the truth of humanity, and the universe would have to decide if it could accept it. The council chamber was vast, its walls lined with panels showing stars, planets, and data streams. Delegates from dozens of species sat or floated in their assigned spaces, observing. Some shifted color nervously. Others made no sound, but their eyes, or the equivalent, followed every movement. Noah and Lyra stepped to the center. The human's calm presence contrasted sharply with the tense energy in the room. Lyra floated beside him, her long fingers brushing the controls that projected data in midair. She had rehearsed her words in her mind, but she still felt a pulse of anxiety. A voice echoed through the chamber. "You are called to explain the human reproductive methods, emotional structures, and population strategies. Begin," Lyra started. She spoke slowly, clearly, explaining how humans form family units, how parents care for children over long periods, how loss is common but life persists. Images of cities, rural lands, disaster recovery, and human interactions flowed through the air. Delegates whispered among themselves. Some seemed shocked. Some leaned in closer, curious. One, a small, green-skinned species, shook their head as if trying to process it all. Another, with crystalline limbs, blinked in rapid succession. As the presentation progressed, Lyra noticed something she had not expected. Some delegates began to compare humans to their own species, not favorably at first, but with a subtle, reluctant admiration. She could feel the room's energy shifting, though not everyone was ready to admit it. Suddenly, alarms sounded. The chamber's walls flashed red. An emergency alert. Several crew members, including Lyra, were trapped in a nearby corridor. The cause was not immediately clear. Without hesitation, Noah sprinted toward the corridor. His long legs carried him past startled delegates, and he reached the trapped crew members. The corridor was dark except for blinking warning lights. The air smelled faintly of ozone. He found Lyra and others trapped behind a collapsed bulkhead. Using strength and tools, he lifted panels and cleared debris, moving with precise urgency. The trapped crew watched in disbelief as he worked tirelessly, ignoring his own fatigue. He coordinated the effort, directing the others to safety. When the last person emerged, Lyra's gaze met Noah's. She realized in that moment the depth of human instinct, not just to survive, but to protect others, even at great personal risk. Her earlier study of data had shown statistics, numbers, and models. This was different. This was reality. Back in the chamber, the council was divided. Some members were ready to declare humans unstable, dangerous, or inefficient. Others were reconsidering, seeing humans as resilient, courageous, and committed. Noah returned, calm but resolute, and stood beside Lyra as she continued her report. "You see what I see now," Noah whispered. Lyra nodded, a small but genuine expression crossing her face. "It is more than I imagined." The council demanded questions. Some were sharp, trying to catch flaws in logic or inconsistencies. Others were reflective, asking why humans did not collapse under repeated hardships. Lyra answered honestly, explaining choice, love, social bonds, and the human will to endure. A new delegate, Karn, a species with segmented limbs and metallic skin, questioned sharply. But your species multiplies without restraint. How can this not become a threat to others? Noah looked at Karn directly. Humans do not multiply to dominate. We multiply to preserve, to create, to survive. We build, we care, we protect. Our growth is a shield, not a weapon. The room grew quieter. Karn did not respond immediately. Lyra sensed that even the hardest critics were beginning to see the difference between recklessness and resilience. Lyra then presented a series of case studies. Families that rebuilt entire colonies after natural disasters. Communities that adopted orphan children. Societies that rose from ashes with energy and cohesion. The data was not just numbers but stories of determination and hope. Some delegates whispered among themselves. Some took notes. A few even leaned closer, their expressions softening. Noah noticed the subtle shift and gave Lyra a small nod. The truth was taking root. When the session ended, Noah and Lyra left the chamber together. The hallways were quieter now. Lyra was thoughtful, her mind processing everything she had seen, not just the data but the actions, the courage, the instinct to care. She paused and looked out at the observation window. The blue star bathed the station in calm light. "I understand more now," she said quietly. "Humans are not reckless. They are intentional in ways I cannot fully measure," Noah smiled. "That is the way we survive, even when it seems strange to others." Lyra's eyes lingered on the star. She thought of the council's factions, of the decision yet to come. She realized that humans had not only survived, they had shown their strength in action, not just theory. And now the council would have to see that too. She turned to Noah. "Your species is frighteningly persistent," Noah chuckled softly. "We call it hope." The station hummed quietly. Outside, stars stretched into infinity, indifferent yet magnificent. Inside, a cautious alien had begun to see the truth of humanity. And the path forward, though uncertain, was starting to bend in favor of the species that refused to stop. The council chamber was quiet when Lyra returned. The delegates had been discussing her report, but tension still hung in the air like static electricity. She floated to her station and activated the projection screens. Noah followed, his calm presence a counterpoint to the nervous energy surrounding them. "I have compiled additional data," Lyra said, "to show not just the numbers, but the strength behind human reproduction." She projected images and records of human recovery after disasters. Cities rebuilt. Families formed new homes. Children learned, grew, and thrived even after the most terrible loss. The delegates watched, some leaning in, some shifting uneasily. It was clear that many had not expected humans to endure so consistently. "Humans reproduce not for convenience," Lyra continued. "They reproduce to survive, to resist extinction, to rebuild life wherever it is threatened." A delegate with crystalline limbs, who had been skeptical before, now seemed thoughtful. Another, small and green, whispered rapidly to a companion. Lyra observed them carefully, noting that even the harshest critics were beginning to reconsider. Karn, the metallic-limbed delegate, stood. "You describe persistence," he said, "but does it not make humans uncontrollable? How can the galaxy allow a species that grows without restriction?" Noah stepped forward. "We do not grow to dominate. We grow because life is worth continuing. We care for what is vulnerable, rebuild what is broken, and protect those who cannot protect themselves. Growth is a responsibility, not a threat." The room shifted again. Some delegates murmured approval. Others were silent, clearly weighing their options. Lyra noticed that the tide of perception was turning. Fear was giving way to admiration, even respect. Suddenly, the station issued a high alert. Deep space sensors had detected an unknown entity approaching rapidly. Its trajectory suggested potential danger to nearby colonies. Panic began to ripple through the council. Noah did not hesitate. "We should prepare," he said. Human response teams can assist immediately. We know how to rebuild and protect. Lyra's eyes widened. She had studied human data, but this was different. This was action under real threat, not theoretical discussion. The council debated. Many species were slow to act, fearing the unknown. Noah organized teams, not just humans but willing aliens, teaching them how to protect civilians and restore damaged stations. His leadership was quiet but effective, commanding respect without demanding it. Lyra watched as humans moved among the chaos with determination, not panic. Families coordinated with precision. Children were guided to safety. Adults volunteered for dangerous tasks, trusting instinct and training. She realized then that human reproduction was not just survival, it was preparation for unpredictability, a strength built into the species. The council convened a rapid vote. The question was no longer just about reproduction. It was about whether humanity's methods of growth and bonding made them a threat or an asset to the galaxy. When Lyra presented her final assessment, she spoke with clarity. Humans are not reckless. Their methods are calculated in ways that data alone cannot capture. They endure, protect, and rebuild. Their reproduction is a tool of resilience, not chaos. The room fell silent as delegates considered her words. The approaching entity drew closer, forcing action. Humans led the effort, their families, communities, and volunteers moving in perfect coordination. Lyra saw a new kind of awe in the eyes of the delegates, a recognition of power that came from empathy, courage, and unbreakable bonds. When the immediate threat passed, the council reconvened. Opinions had changed. Humans were no longer seen as unstable, but as a species whose unique approach to life made them indispensable. Lyra floated beside Noah. "I questioned humans at first," she said quietly. "I feared your species might be uncontrollable. Now I see you are necessary," Noah smiled faintly. "We just do what we must. Life continues no matter the risk." The chamber filled with murmurs of agreement. Even the strictest critics nodded. Humanity had been judged, tested, and found resilient. And Lyra, once horrified, had become an advocate for their enduring strength. Outside, the stars glimmered calmly. The station floated in its orbit, a silent witness to a species proving that life, persistence, and care could be more powerful than fear. The unknown entity loomed on the sensors, moving faster than any ship the station had previously detected. Panic swept through the colonies near the threat, and many species hesitated, unsure how to respond. But humans, as always, moved quickly. Teams were organized, not just military units, but families, volunteers, and specialists ready to protect life wherever it was endangered. Noah led the human units, coordinating with other species willing to help. Lyra followed closely, observing the humans in action. She had seen their records, their families, their history, but witnessing the real-time response was different. It was living proof of the resilience and strength she had only begun to understand. Civilians were evacuated, injured beings were assisted, and colonies at risk were reinforced. Noah moved calmly among them, giving instructions, offering encouragement, and sometimes simply standing where danger was highest to ensure others were safe. The aliens around him began to notice patterns they had never seen before. Humans worked not out of fear or duty alone, but out of empathy and a deep sense of responsibility. Lyra saw a family of humans working together, protecting a group of alien children whose parents had been lost. The parents directed and comforted, while older children carried the young, teaching them how to move safely. It was organized yet flexible. Every member of the group understood the mission. Life must continue. The council convened rapidly, watching the unfolding events. Delegates debated whether humans should be allowed to act or restrained. Some feared uncontrolled growth. Others recognized that humanity's methods were not chaos, they were carefully adaptive. The humans were teaching the galaxy a new definition of survival. Noah and his teams worked through the crisis, repairing damage, moving survivors to safety, and ensuring that every colony remained functional. The approaching threat was neutralized with careful intervention, aided by humans' understanding of both life and logistics. Where other species would have been paralyzed by indecision, humans acted decisively and compassionately. Lyra floated beside Noah after the threat passed, watching humans and aliens together, rebuilding, comforting, and supporting one another. She realized that human reproduction, their willingness to accept risk and pain, had prepared them for this moment. Every child, every family unit, every bond had been a building block for resilience in crisis. The council gathered to assess the outcome. Their previous fear and skepticism had transformed into respect and admiration. Noah stepped forward to address them. Humanity survives because we act, we care, we rebuild. We do not stop, even when faced with danger or loss. This is not reckless. It is intentional, necessary, and universal. Lyra presented her final report. Humans reproduce and form bonds not for convenience or domination. They do it to endure, to protect life, to maintain hope. They are essential to the stability of life in this galaxy. The Council deliberated, then reached a unanimous conclusion. Humanity was recognized not as a threat, but as a continuity species, a protector and sustainer of life wherever it spread. Humans had proven that their unique approach to life, love, and family was not only effective, it was invaluable. Noah looked around at the council chamber. Delegates who had once doubted or feared now nodded with acknowledgement. Lyra met his eyes and gave a small, sincere smile. "You do this all the time," she whispered, echoing her first question from the initial meeting. Noah smiled softly. "Yes, and we will continue to do it as long as life is worth protecting." The station hummed quietly, and beyond its walls the stars stretched endlessly. Humanity's place in the galaxy was no longer questioned. They had proven that life, persistence, and compassion could overcome fear, doubt, and the unknown. And in doing so, they had shown the universe why humans always endure, no matter the challenge.